During World War II, warfare changed drastically from combat tactics used in previous wars. Aviation became a key part of modern warfare, and as countries at war vied for dominance, they were forced to work quickly and diligently to improve their aircraft fleets. Fighter aircraft changed the battlefield once and forever. Fighters may have appeared years before, but they were not even close as advanced as the ones used in World War II. In this video, we listed the top 10 best fighter aircraft of World War II. Enjoy! Number 10 is the Hawker Hurricane. The manufacture and maintenance of the aircraft were eased by its use of conventional construction methods, which enabled squadrons to perform many major repairs themselves without external support. The Hurricane developed through several versions as a fighter, bomber interceptor, and ground support aircraft. Versions designated for the Royal Navy were known as the Sea Hurricane, with modifications enabling their operation from ships. It was armed with 4 20mm cannons, or 8 to 12 7.7mm machine guns, depending on the version. In 1940, during the Battle of Britain, the Hurricane was overshadowed in the public consciousness by the Spitfire, but the Hurricanes inflicted 60% of the losses sustained by the Germans in the engagement. By the end of production in July 1944, 14,487 Hurricanes had been manufactured in Great Britain and Canada. Number 9 is the Mitsubishi A6M. It's a long-range fighter aircraft operated by the Imperial Japanese from 1940 to 1945. The Zero was considered the most capable carrier-based fighter, combining very long range with excellent maneuverability. In early combat operations, the Zero gained a legendary reputation as a fighter, achieving a 12-to-1 kill ratio. By 1943, due to inherent design weaknesses, such as lack of hydraulic flaps and inability to equip it with a more powerful engine, the Zero gradually became less effective against newer fighters. By 1944, with opposing fighters approaching its level of maneuverability and consistently exceeding its firepower, armor, and speed, it became obsolete as a fighter aircraft. However, as design delays and production difficulties hampered the introduction of newer Japanese aircraft models, the Zero continued to serve until the end of the war. Number 8 is the Yak-9. It was first used in combat at the end of 1942 and proved to be one of the best Russian fighters. It was a lighter development of the Yak-7. The Yak-9 had a lowered rear fuselage decking and all-around vision canopy. Its lighter airframe gave the new fighter the flexibility that previous models had lacked. It was armed with a 20mm cannon and a machine gun chambered in 12.7mm round. But some versions were even equipped with a 45mm cannon. An interesting fact is that this Russian fighter was the first aircraft to shoot down a German Messerschmitt 262. After World War II, it was used by the North Korean Air Force during the Korean War. The Yak-9 was one of the most mass-produced Russian fighter of all time. It remained in production from 1942 to 1948, with 16,769 built. Number 7 is the Supermarine Spitfire. During World War II, it was the backbone of the RAF and saw action in the Pacific, Southeast Asia, and Europe. Much loved by its pilots, the Spitfire served in several roles, including interceptor, photo reconnaissance, fighter, and trainer. During the Battle of Britain, the Spitfire units had a lower attrition rate and higher victory-to-loss ratio, thanks to the Spitfire's higher performance. It was the only British fighter produced continuously throughout the war, with over 20,000 produced. Number 6 is the Grumman F6F Hellcat. It was designed to replace the earlier F4F Wildcat and to counter the Japanese Mitsubishi A6M Zero. The Hellcat was powered by a 2,000 brake horsepower Pratt & Whitney double Wasp engine, the same power plant used for the P-47 Thunderbolt. The F6F made its combat debut in September 1943 and was best known for its role as a rugged, well-designed carrier fighter, which was able to outperform the A6M Zero and help secure air superiority over the Pacific theater. A total of 12,275 were built in just over 2 years. The Hellcats were credited with destroying a total of 5,223 enemy aircraft while in service with the U.S. Navy, U.S. Marine Corps, and the Royal Navy Fleet Air Arm. This was more than any other Allied naval aircraft. After the war, the Hellcat was phased out of frontline service, but remained in service as late as 1954 as a night fighter. Number 5 is the Messerschmitt Bf 109. When it was introduced in 1937, it was one of the most advanced fighter aircraft with all-metal monocoque construction, a closed canopy, and retractable landing gear. More aerial kills were made with the Bf 109 than any other aircraft of World War II. However, many of them were accomplished against poorly trained and badly organized Soviets in 1941. The Bf 109 is also the most produced fighter aircraft in history, with a total of 33,984 aircraft produced from 1936 to April 1945. An additional 842 were built by Czechoslovakia and Spain. Sometimes it was called Me 109 by Allied aircrew and some German aces, even though this was not the official German designation. An interesting fact is that this Nazi fighter was built in Czechoslovakia, with parts and plans left over from Luftwaffe aircraft production helped to defend Israel. When the Israeli Air Force was formed on May 28, 1948, 25 Avia S-199s and 60 Spitfires were the backbone of the IAF. A few days later, on June 3rd, Modi Alon, piloting Czechoslovak-made Bf 109, scored the Israeli Air Force's first aerial victories when he shot down a pair of Royal Egyptian Air Force C-47s, which had just bombed Tel Aviv. The Bf 109 was also license-built in Spain, where its modified versions served until 1965. Number 4 is the Republic P-47. With 15,636 built between 1941 and 1945, the P-47 was one of the main U.S. Army Air Force fighters of World War II. The P-47 also served with other Allied air forces, including those of France with 446 received, the United Kingdom, which received 830 aircraft, and the Soviet Union, where 203 P-47Ds were sent. Its primary armament was 850 caliber machine guns, and in the fighter-bomber ground attack role, it could carry 5-inch rockets or a bomb load of 2,500 pounds. When fully loaded, the P-47 weighed up to 8 tons, which made it one of the heaviest fighters of the war. In the U.S. service, the Thunderbolt ended the war with 3,752 air-to-air kills claimed at the cost of 3,499 P-47s to all causes in combat. An interesting fact is that present-day U.S. ground attack aircraft, the A-10 Thunderbolt II, takes its name from the P-47. Number 3 is the Focke-Wulf 190. The 190A started flying operationally over France in August 1941 and quickly proved superior in all except turn radius to the Royal Air Force's main fighter, the Spitfire Mk5. Particularly at low and medium altitudes. The 190 was better than Allied fighters until the introduction of the improved Spitfire Mk9. The 190A series performance decreased at high altitudes, usually 6,000 meters and above, which reduced its effectiveness as a high-altitude interceptor. It was solved in Model D, which entered service in September 1944. The 190 provided greater firepower than the Bf 109 and superior maneuverability in the opinion of German pilots who flew both fighters. Number 2 is the P-51 Mustang. The P-51 is a single-seat, single-engine fighter aircraft, originally designed and produced by North American Aviations for the RAF and later adopted by the U.S. Army Air Forces. The P-51 originated with an April 1940 proposal to the British Aircraft Purchasing Commission. There were many versions of this fighter. Merlin-powered P-51s, equipped with jettisonable drop tanks, had an operational range of more than 2,500 kilometers, and they mounted their first long-range bomber escort missions over Germany in mid-December 1943. They quickly established an ascendancy over Germany's premier fighters. Thanks to this, the crippling losses which the US bombers had previously suffered were thereafter drastically reduced. The most widely produced version was the P-51D. It was armed with 6 wing-mounted 12.7mm machine guns and could be fitted with 230-kilogram bombs or 3-shot 114mm rocket launchers, bolstering its capability as a close support platform. The P-51 is widely regarded as the finest all-around piston engine fighter of World War II to be produced in significant numbers. Around 13,300 Merlin-powered Mustangs were produced in the United States. Number 1 is the Messerschmitt 262. It was the world's first operational jet-powered fighter aircraft. Design work started before World War II, but problems kept the aircraft from operational status until mid-1944. The Me 262 was faster and better armed than any other fighter in this conflict. It was used as a light bomber, reconnaissance, and experimental night fighter. Me 262 pilots claimed a total of 542 Allied aircraft shot down, although higher claims are sometimes made. Strategic material shortages and design compromises on its engines led to reliability problems. Attacks by Allied forces on fuel supplies during the deteriorating late war situations also reduced its effectiveness. In the end, the Me 262 had a negligible impact on the course of the war as a result of its late introduction and the consequently small numbers put into action. When German use of the aircraft ended with the close of World War II, a small number were operated by the Czechoslovak Air Force until 1951. Captured planes were studied and flight tested, and ultimately influenced later aircraft designs, such as the North American F-86 Sabre and the MiG-15. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Also, visit our second channel with military power comparisons. See you next time!